6:30, and we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start off with citizens' comment, and we have one today.
All right.
State your name and...
So I'm Michael Chianowski from the Planning Commission, and I printed out, this is the section of the town report, which was last updated in 2014.
Thank you.
And so every 5 years, the Planning Commission is, legally required to update the town plan, which goes to the select board and is eventually voted on. There's an extra copy here. So I'm basically just asking if the school board, and I figured I'd catch you all here because I was going to try to meet with people independently, but I knew you'd all be here. So anything you see in here that could be updated, or especially obviously the enrollment numbers could be updated, but anything that you foresee that might be needed in terms of maintenance, or it's just the school's opportunity to say what it wants to say in the town plan, essentially. So anything that you see in here that's outdated should certainly be updated or struck. And anything you foresee in the future that might be needed, this would be the time to mention it. Or I know that there's been like a ventilation project, if that's been completed, things that, it's basically, your chance to lay out your vision for the next 5 years. And so essentially I was going to leave that.
When do you need this by, Mike?
Not immediately, but probably sooner rather than later, sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks would be great, I think. And you could either, I could send you, there's a digital copy, this is a Word document, this is the entire town plan, I just printed out this section, but, I could email you a copy of this if you want to type it up, or you could give us ideas that we could type up, however you want to work.
How would we do this in conjunction with what your town plan is? And the reason why I say that is if you've got grand plans for bringing people to the community, and we're going to see it's noted in here as 2014 there was a 25% increase in enrollment. If we're going to be doing something, whether it's attracting business or anything at all, or what do we see as a population trend that we should be thinking of as the people who are running this school, it'd be nice to know what you guys are up to or what your thoughts are so that we can kind of work together with you on that.
Yeah, that's been, Chris Williams is the chair of the Planning Commission, often kind of brings up the fact that there isn't a lot of coordination between town government and school government, partially by the way the state of Vermont works by separating the two.
Separating meetings.
So, I don't know if you wanted to appoint a liaison or come in. I mean, this is that opportunity. So the town plan, we address all those things like economic development. As everyone knows, here in Shaftsbury, development is slow. There hasn't been much growth. I think one of the bright spots that we point out here is that we actually had increasing enrollment during a time when a lot of the state was having significant decrease in enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can point to that number as if we can show, I'm not sure how that trend, did that trend continue essentially?
It did not, no.
Okay, so it's tapered off.
Yeah.
Where are we?
We're at 220, I believe, 219?
Yeah.
220 right now.
That's reasonably stable.
Yeah,
where
yeah, it's not dropping rapidly, but...
Yeah, so that's a bright spot. I think that the population projections for the county wouldn't have anticipated these numbers in this bracket, and if they remain stable, then it's good news for Shaftsbury. There's no grand plan right now to bring in enough business to significantly change the enrollment. I don't think something that's been mentioned and is, if something were to happen in North Bennington and the District 1 students came back, could we accommodate them? I've heard that the total capacity of the building is about 300 students. I don't know. That's just something I heard randomly.
Yeah,
So
it's been over 300 at times but I think when it reached well over 300, they had auxiliary classrooms, trailers.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that 41, I'm not sure that 41 is correct still. That was in 2014, that 41 students from District 1.
Yeah.
Has there been any recent conversations about District 1 students?
No, there has not.
Yeah.
The last time we had talked that with the board.
Was that 46?
No, it was...
Oh.
No, not 46. It was a board member was researching it, and it was legislatively had to be determined and changed.
all towns have to vote on it, right?
I don't know if
On
all
the district?
towns have to vote on that, because it's not a MAU issue like Act 46,
Oh.
but it's just a,
41 number's more now though, isn't
I don't know. That
it? Why
number,
did I hear that?
I was a part of this when you guys did this in 14.
Okay.
I went
Which
to a
one?
meeting
Didn't we
and
hear
gave some
that?
general
That there's more than
information.
41 Shaftsbury students in the North Bennington school. I swear I heard that.
Well,
number
what's in
was
the-
almost-
I'm not sure what it is. That we just happened to do a study the year before. That's where that 41 came from.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is
Yeah,
now.
46 meetings is what I heard. that.
Maybe it could be more. And I know they're talking about building a housing.
Yeah,
complex
that's right.
in
The
District
Shires
1 area.
housing, that would,
Yep.
I believe,
Yeah.
be District 1. right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it is.
So-
Yep.
Yeah, that would create all kinds of,
And at the time, we could absorb those 41. I remember doing that study with the district, and the way that they broke out in grades, we could absorb that 41 without any issue at all. That was
Could
like-
have.
It's going to
Could
be.
have it that time,
I
yeah.
saw the plan, the final plan for
Yeah.
the housing, and it is totally District 1.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
So,
because I was part of that conversation as well. Yeah.
So,
I can help with some of this, Mike. I can get back
Okay.
to you on some of this,
sure.
for sure.
So anyway, yeah, that's essentially, and so at the end, you'll see there's the policies and recommendations. Actually, it mentions the collaboration between school governing bodies. I don't know if those need to be updated or if anyone's changed their mind. It's essentially, it's
Do
just
something
something
for
to
Act
look over
46
and
now.
see what
If
kind
we
of-
want to do something for Act 46 now,
how would it work?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Act
we could
46.
still
So that's another thing to mention is that, we currently have some uncertainty over Act 46. So anything like that is valid.
Should we email you?
Sure, if you want to mark it up. Do you have a copy of this, or do you need me to send you a copy of the town plan?
Why don't you email me a
I
copy
can
of the
send you
template?
this broken out. piece of
Whichever.
it.
Email it to me, and then I'll have your email, and I can respond to the pieces I can respond to.
Gotcha. Do you have your
Yep.
best email to get yet? Or you could scribble it maybe right on my pad here.
Is the board okay with that?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just speaking because like I said, I was part of this a little bit when they did it a few years ago.
All right. So unless anyone has any other questions, that's it for me.
okay.
School choice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
46
Thank you.
proposal, going back to the state.
School choice.
Elementary school choice. Remember how we were saying that they could.
Next thing we have is Green Lantern Solar. Ralph?
Yes, should I just stay here?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, great.
5 years or something like that.
So people can.
They want to get soldier around. Sorry.
Hi, thank you very much for meeting with me. My name is Ralph Mima, and I represent Green Lantern in the South. I live in Brattleboro and cover solar projects that our firm carries out pretty much in Windham, Windsor, and Bennington counties. I was up in Fairhaven today, and I'll be up in Bristol next week, but that's usually, that's kind of the extent of the projects I work on. I have colleagues up north, and just one or two quick things about us. We're based in Waterbury, Vermont. We're about 8 years old. We're a renewable energy developer, but pretty much everything we've ever done from the beginning is solar development. We don't do residential systems. We do larger sort of commercial industrial systems, usually ranging from about an acre to 5 acres. And we found out early this year that last year we were actually the largest developer in Vermont, and 20th in the nation, which really surprised us because up until now we've only done projects in Vermont. And they haven't been very large either. We've just done a lot of them. The big projects that you hear about from time to time, 5, 10 megawatts, that kind of thing. We did one of those on that scale up in St. Albans early in our history. But most of what we've done have been 150 to 500 kilowatt projects, and that basically means an acre to 5 acres. And there's some information that Renee Gordon passed to Jeff, basically our credentials and references and a list of the projects we've done. And a lot of pretty much all the projects we've done, with a few exceptions, have schools, towns, fire districts, waste districts, hospitals, those types of municipal or sort of community organizations as the net metering credit customers. And there's, for those of you who know, net metering is sort of the main state program for incentives and the financing of, or the billing, the financing, and the incentives for solar development on that scale. So we've been involved in projects in Bennington County going back about 3 or 4 years. We did one out on property on Route 9, almost to the New York border. We did another one down in Pownell, not too far, in North Pownell, near the tannery there. And more recently, we started talking with Pownell about putting 150 kW projects on top of 3 different landfills. We've done a lot of landfills recently, landfills and brownfield sites and old reclaimed gravel pits, because the permitting has steered us quite heavily toward those kinds of kind of abused sites. So we have a permit application pending for one capped landfill in Pownell. For those of you who are familiar with it, there's a transfer station on Maple Grove Road, and there are 2 landfills on either side of it. One is properly capped and vented and everything. The other is basically an old dump that dirt was bulldozed over long ago. And then there's actually a third landfill, which is a Superfund site near the wastewater treatment facility in North Pownell as well. And so we're working on all of these. One is furthest along. The Superfund site is going to take us quite a while, I think, to work our way through. And so these are net metered projects, which means that basically we find the site, we develop them, we get the permits and so forth. We find the financing from outside investors. Could be in-state, could be out-of-state, but they're third-party investors. And then we find net metering customers to buy the net metering credits at a discount. And that creates cash flow for the project, but it also gives them a way to reduce their electric bills a bit. And that's where the schools and the towns and the hospitals and that kind of thing come in. Just for reference, to give you a concrete example, the 500 kilowatt project that we built down in Pownell actually serves Mount Snow. So Mount Snow buys the credits. They buy everything that array produces, and it brings their electric bill down a little bit. The one out near the New York border was actually bought by Phoenix Feeds up north, and they own it and they use the credits. And I can go into other details. Every array we work on has a story like that. There are various different actors involved. But what we would really like to do is make the benefit of these landfill arrays in Pownell available first to the schools and any other sort of similar town and community organizations around, the South Shire area. And so SVSU was one of the first groups I approached about this, and I'm meeting with each of the school district boards, and I've already met with the superintendent, just to basically explain who we are, what this is, and what the opportunity is. I can say a lot more, but I'll stop because you may have some questions, and I don't want to just keep rambling on too much.
Anybody got questions?
Does this energy stays solely in Vermont? I mean, are you selling it to other states?
No. I mean, the thing about net metering is you can only connect net metered projects with the local distribution grid. This is, I mean, Vermont's grid is connected to the greater ISO New England grid, but the actual power from a distributed generation net metered array energizes the local grid. But that's important, but what's also important is that the net metering credits stay in Vermont. They only go to GMP customers, so they don't have any value outside the state either.
So, have you met with the other boards yet, or are we the first board?
I've actually met with Woodford and also with Bennington School District, with the 3 elementaries. And I'm going to see Pownell next week. And I think that covers everybody.
Did the other boards already vote one way or the other, or did you just have an introduction and a
They're in the
conversation?
process, so I'm not sure what Woodford's going to do. I have to follow up with them. But the VSD board, Bennington School District Board, already scheduled a special meeting on November 7th or 8th, something like that. And so they've taken the material that I gave them last week, which included the draft net metering agreement. There's a one with different numbers and so forth in it that pertains specifically to Shaftsbury that Jeff received earlier. And they're going to look it over and have a lawyer take a look at it and then make a decision in about 3 weeks or so.
And is it an all-in? You need all of us to do it, or if
No.
okay.
No, it's up to each individual school district if you want to be in. And frankly, if all signed up, it would oversubscribe the first array we're doing in Pownell. And then the question would be, well,
Do you do a second?
where else can we fit you in? But that's not usually a problem.
I'm a huge fan of solar. I have a 5.8 kW system at my house.
Oh, yeah.
I also know that through my place of employment, a similar arrangement was figured out with doing a rooftop unit at the facility where I work, a large rooftop unit where we end up getting a lot of those credits, but it also is going back to the grid. It's owned by somebody else, that type of arrangement.
Mhm.
I like green spaces in Vermont, so even though we're talking about Superfund sites and dumps, the thought of using up all available roofs is pretty. I think we should be looking that way, honestly. So, is there a possibility of, or why would we? I guess I have to ask the question: would Shaftsbury District, we've just put a brand new roof on, be better off now that we've got a brand new roof, which is often the first step of putting a rooftop unit on, doing it ourselves, or doing it in partnership like where I work, with somebody like you or another company that does it, as opposed to, $7,500 savings annually divided out a bunch among how many schools?
Be 5
In
or
the
6
district,
schools.
at
6
least.
schools.
I feel like maybe we would be cutting ourselves short, and we could probably do better on our own.
Well, there was we're different here, right? As a government entity, we can't take advantage of a federal tax credit the way that Orvis can, or that we can in our homes. I think, right?
Exactly.
So you're coming to us saying, since you can't do that, here's another way of structuring a deal so that you can get some advantage. Is that
Yeah.
basically? Yeah.
There's a 30% investment tax credit off the front for these projects, and it's the 30% renewable energy investment tax credit. And if you're not a taxed entity, you can't take advantage of it. A 150 kW project like these, costs somewhere on the order of $500,000 to $600,000, and if you can't take advantage of the tax credits, the payback time, I think it's like 13, 14, 15 years. It's gotten longer because the incentives have just dropped. Now, if a town or a school wants to do that, it's entirely up to them. They can buy the system, they can enjoy the net metering credits, but they won't be able to enjoy the tax credits. So it's really just a local capital question. I know towns that have gone ahead and bought the system themselves. If you don't want to do that, this is an alternative. Now, as far as rooftops go, sure, we'd be happy to make a proposal for this rooftop, and we could make 2 different proposals. One would be just to deliver a turnkey system to somebody who buys it, and another would be to develop it with an outside investor. We'd have to see what the size of it is and what the prospects are. We do rooftops. Not as much as. Historically we haven't done a lot because building them on the land is usually it's simpler. There are fewer liability issues, and a lot of rooftops are not really in good shape for solar. So we've sort of shied away from them, but it's becoming more common.
So what's
Anyone
that?
else got anything? That might,
I just add that, and I think I was the only one on the board at the time, but 3 or 4 years ago, we were asked to consider a similar proposal. And my recollection is that we needed all the districts to, buy into it, and that maybe Shaftsbury decided not to. There was a board member or two who had some philosophical concerns, I think, about it, and so it did, or possibly there was some other snag. I can't remember, but it didn't happen.
I don't
Obviously,
think that one got off the ground.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe we did.
I think the company went bankrupt, didn't it?
Maybe that was it. Yeah.
Because, there was a big statewide solar procurement RFP that went out from the Superintendent's Association.
Yeah,
and
that was it.
Yeah, and it was, Norm Etkind up there led the charge, I guess, and a lot of different school districts and supervisory unions went in together and put out this RFP for like 15 megawatts or something. It was huge. And we bid on it, a bunch of others bid on it. We didn't get it. It went to, I know there were a couple of different companies, including Ampersand Energy and Sun Edison, that won the bid. But nothing ever happened with either one of them. And there were a lot of reasons why it just all imploded. But that is part of the history.
So, and just my last question is there a, and maybe you addressed that in the proposal here, but is there any sort of deadline, or let's hurry up and get this done because something's going to expire?
To some extent, yeah. I mean, the certificate of public good that we got for the Pownell project came in, I forget the exact date, it was either late August or early September. And so when we get the CPG, we have 1 year to build the array. And the Public Utility Commission is very hesitant to issue any kind of extensions, because they would say they would just encourage speculation if they did that. So we have at this point around 11 months to build it. And part of my job, I mean, I do two things basically. One is to find sites and take the projects through the permitting process. The other is to find net metering customers. So I'm always talking to different supervisory unions and schools and towns and so forth. And as a statewide, as a firm, we're always basically just trying to sort of mix and match or match up supply and demand. So it's really hard to predict, but it might end up being that for the Pownell project, within a month to 2 months, it's full, because other organizations we're talking with might come through and say, we'd like that much. And the more we can hasten this along, the better, because once we assemble the full suite of we call them off-takers, net metering customers for a project, then we can finalize the financing, including both investors and lenders like Vita and banks and so forth. And once we get the financing taken care of, we can move ahead with construction. So there's a pretty dense chain of different things that are all kind of queued up right now. All I can say is, if you could make a decision within the next, month, it would be great. Because I don't think anybody else is going to jump in, and I've personally prioritized the SVSU schools first, especially for this Pownell project. If it's going to take to town meeting or something like that, then a lot of different things could happen in the meantime.
yeah, how far, so right now Pownell nothing's been done with Pownell's area yet.
We just have the permit.
You got the permit.
And so that permit is just sort of sitting on the back burner until we finalize the off-taker makeup, get it financed, and then we start building it.
And how many, whatever you call them, the people like SVSU, how many units do you have to take care of that Pownell setup?
For example, I think that that the 3 Bennington School District elementaries, just based on some figuring I was doing earlier, they would account for about 80% of it. And then the remaining capacity, I think would be filled up by, for example, this elementary school. So it sort of gives you a sense of the size of the slices that are available. But who knows? I mean, maybe Bennington School District says no, or maybe they don't want to commit all the schools. So that means there's more capacity available. And I definitely want Pownell to be in on one of these projects because it's in their own town. But does that answer your question more or less?
So does that, maybe I'm not missing something, but if BSD comes in all the way, and there isn't, in the whole project, there isn't much left for the rest of the people?
If BSD comes in all the way, like I said, there will be a slice equivalent to about a fifth of it that would be available for somebody else. And we try to find, as exact a fit as possible. But here's the thing. We're doing projects like this in other places as well. It wouldn't be quite as local, so it wouldn't feel as local, but it would still be in Green Mountain Power territory. And from a billing standpoint, it would look exactly the same on the school's electric bill. And two examples of that are, there's one that we now have a permit for in Wilmington, next to the transfer station, and there's another one on the landfill in Dover that we recently got a permit for. So, they're not too far away. They're not in the SVSU towns, but like if everybody asked to be part of net metered arrays that we're developing, we would find room for everybody. But because the other two projects in Pownell are going to take a while to work through the whole feasibility and permitting process, and I won't even go into the details there, but they're more complicated because of environmental liabilities. They're not going to be available in the short term, but these other ones will be. And if it doesn't really make a huge amount of difference, we would be happy to put you in there instead.
Doing this wouldn't preclude us if we were to go down the road a year or so and say we want to do something on our own. It doesn't take away our ability to. Does it handcuff us for future things if we were to want to do something on our own, or we're committing for a certain amount of time,
Well,
right?
the answer is kind of complicated there because if we look at your existing electric bill, and I think it was about $15,000 a year, and we size an allocation that basically uses up, all of your current appetite with a little bit of buffer to create some wiggle room. Then basically you don't have any more appetite for net metering credits, and if you replaced your boilers with heat pumps, for example, then your appetite would increase a lot because you'd suddenly be using a lot more electricity. Or if you started charging electric vehicles here or something like that, things like that might happen down the road, which would create more appetite. I don't want to encourage anybody to think that, because this net metering agreement that's on the table there is actually a 20-year commitment. So I don't want to encourage folks to sign that commitment, but then after 5 years say, actually, we'd rather have one on our roof because, we just have to deal with that.
So the commitment is for that period of time, and is it to purchase all of our power through, we're already purchasing power through Green Mountain, but if we, let's say that we felt that we wanted to put an array on the roof just for illustration purposes, or just to set a good example, and that offset some of the power we were buying. We could do that, or would that be a bad idea?
Well, our banks wouldn't like it because these projects have about a 35-year lifetime, and the lenders and the investors like to see commitments to buy the net metering credits for at least 20 years. Preferably even longer, but at least 20 years. What you could do, though, is you know, if you decided that your roof is available for this purpose and you'd like to maximize the use of it for solar, you could basically lease it to us, and we would find an investor, and we would find an off-taker, so that you'd basically just be a landlord, and reap benefit that way, and not have to worry about the operation of the array, because you wouldn't actually own it, but it would be sitting up there.
That's
And
how
then-
we did it,
Yeah.
where I work.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's another way you can do it. And we would find somebody else to buy the net meter.
And what does that look like for us?
What does that look like for you?
Yeah, if
In
we
terms
did
of-
that.
Well, I don't know how big an array we would put up there. So there would have to be a lease amount worked out based on the capacity of the array. Yeah.
I mean, the sound of this I like. I would like to spend a few minutes doing a little due diligence to see what that option might look like before we go too far down that other path, just because I don't want to wish we had a couple of years from now.
Right.
Agree. I
But
agree with that.
not spending a whole bunch of time on it, not exhausting you or whoever might help us with that, but obviously because we don't have a lot of time, but learning a little more won't hurt.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and you know, the other thing I'm reminded of is that we were presented with a proposal to buy credits for a hydropower project a couple of years ago that I think and everyone, you know, said, oh yeah, let's do that, and if we had proceeded with that, I think it would have precluded us from doing what you're doing, offering or suggesting today.
Yep.
So I think we appreciate the fact that you're bringing it to us and offering us a local project to be involved with, but I also sort of feel like if this is something we want to do, maybe the business office should be putting together a request for proposals and seeing who else is out there and what might be the best option for us. Maybe it's something structured this way, maybe it isn't, but I guess I'd sort of like to be given an opportunity to think about it a little bit and really find out what the different options are. So.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing is figure out all our options. This is just one option.
Do you have drawings of the roof from this work that was done? That it would at least give an example of how big it is?
Yeah, I think we know the square footage roughly anyway, because we have that in our capital improvements plan for
Yeah.
future. So we have the square footage of what approximately it would cost to replace it. So we have an approximation of that. Yeah, I'm sure Renee can give us those numbers. So I know when we did that roof a couple of years ago, that was on the
Yeah.
capital improvements plan reserve fund.
But you can do both. I mean, one doesn't preclude the other. You could lease your roof for a smaller system and be part of a ground mounted.
Sure. Yep.
project.
Which that starts to be, or could potentially start to be some real money when it comes to energy saving. Or would allow for us to get more efficient with certain types of heating and not have a greater impact on a monthly bill
Mhm.
for the taxpayers.
I know you can lease heat pumps from Green Mountain Power too. If I could get some dimensions of the roof, you know, one way or another, we could come up with an estimate pretty quickly, I think.
Like I said, I think Renee can get us that pretty quickly. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Thank
very
you.
much. Yep.
Okay. Let's see, did they give you any information on the ventilation project?
Yeah, so you guys have the proposal there. This was, I believe it's in your packet, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So this was requested last month, I believe, for John to do the design
Yep.
work. So, he laid it all out for us like he does a good job doing at a cost of $9,600
Thank you.
Thank you.
to do the design work for the work on the 1973 wing HVAC upgrades, which we've talked about a couple of times. So what we need now is, we obviously need this design work to go forward before we can put out an RFP to get the bids in. So he would do that work for us, come back with the designs, we could then throw out the RFP and get bids in so we can get things worked in place for next summer.
I think that's what we wanna do.
Yeah.
I think
We
we
need
wanna-
to,
Yep.
we need to do that.
we
So
wanna
I'll-
get that out there right
Now we
away.
can
Yep.
get going.
So all we need from the board tonight is approval for that work to be done for John, to get that design work done.
Yep.
I make a motion.
We have a motion to accept John's proposal,
Second.
and we have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, I'll let Renee know.
Okay. Superintendent's report? I guess we don't have one of
Don't
those
think that's gonna
tonight.
happen tonight.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Anybody have any questions about that? If not, I need a motion to accept it.
Make a motion to accept.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Let's see. All right, and in our packet, we have a nice statement from the senior class of Mount Anthony for 2018. And they're donating $260 toward their nature's trip, which would be helpful.
That's
We
great.
appreciate the senior class and donating that to us. Anybody, we don't have to make a motion to accept.
We have to, we have to
Okay.
approve that.
We have a motion to accept it, to accept the money from Mount Anthony, senior class, 2018.
So moved.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, your budget status report. Consent agenda, we will not, we can take a vote on it today, but we don't have to sign anything, because they're not here.
Warrants.
The warrants are not here, right, but basically what we'll do is accept the consent agenda, which means the minutes of the last meeting. And
I move we,
and also put onto that, give me give the chair the authorization to sign the warrants.
okay. I move we accept the consent agenda, including the minutes, and give Ed authorization to sign the warrants.
Would that all be done in one?
Yeah, it'll be just like we
One.
usually sign.
One motion, though?
You
Yeah.
want to hold off because some people weren't here for the minutes.
Right,
Oh,
I
yeah,
wasn't
right.
here.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do it twice, we'll do it two different ways. Thank you, Richard.
Minutes only.
Okay.
You made the motion, well, I
Yeah,
guess
so,
I'll second it then.
I'll amend it to be just moving the minutes, accepting the minutes.
I'll second it, I'll second that. Because these other two were here.
Right.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
Okay.
Then I'll move that we give Ed the authority to sign the warrants.
I have a second on that.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. Now we have somewhere in my file here. Policy committee.
They're pretty self-explanatory. I went to the meeting, the tobacco prohibition, they want to warn that one. It's just adding the, as you can see, she italicized it because there's so many different substitutes now, vapor,
Vapes, yeah.
vapes and all that stuff. They just wanted to add that substitute in there to include everything than just cigarettes, chewing tobacco.
Sounds good.
That's good. Okay, this is for policy 5180.
Right.
All those in favor?
You don't
Change?
have a motion yet.
It's just a
You didn't
warn.
make a motion?
I will. I'll make a motion to accept.
Isn't that one just a warn though?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's just
This
a
one.
warrant.
That's just the one. The other two are adopt. That one,
Oh,
the
the other
tobacco
two
one's
are
just
adopt.
warn.
They just wanted to show it and see if anybody had any questions or concerns or changes they wanted to it.
Okay.
If you guys are all for it, next policy meeting,
Bring it in.
I'll tell
Okay, so-
everybody they're good.
So I would say that we're in favor of that.
Okay.
Okay, now we have policy 7100, board member education, that's to be adopted. And policy 7192, correspondence to the board, that's to be adopted.
Move we adopt 7100 board member education.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep. Okay. How about 7192?
I move we adopt 7192 correspondence to the board.
Second.
We have a second. Any other questions? Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Personnel, we have no changes?
No personnel. No.
No personnel.
We have
Budget transfer requests.
So this is from me, just to give a little background. So these are, Jay and I tried to be a little proactive last spring. We had some funds left over. I think we saved some money on oil last year and some capital improvements. So we tried to get some carpeting done in the lower wing, as well as get some material for Jay did the hallway, the tile on that hallway. So we tried to buy that material ahead of time with last year's money, so we'd have it ready to go for the summer and we could use last year's money. But unfortunately, we got the invoices in too late over the summer that we couldn't access last year's money. So we're running a little short on that line for those projects that are already done. They've done the work, but and we just need to move some money from that capital reserve fund into our regular capital line, so that we can pay those bills. And then again, this is for the tile that went down the primary wing, and one of the classrooms got some new carpeting last summer.
And that did come out very well.
Came out great.
Yep.
Yep. Came out great.
The whole thing.
I'd make a motion to authorize a transfer.
Second?
That's what, 28,66926.
Yep.
28,000.
$28,669.26.
Yep. We have a second?
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you.
That's what you get for saving oil.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda
How did you
is
save oil last year?
I don't know. I think
elect new clerk.
we had some money. We had some money, but we couldn't access it.
I have to look over your way.
What?
Elect new clerk. I'm looking at both of you. I'm not looking at one. Because Jeff was clerk of the board, and he resigned last meeting.
I'm happy to step in, although I would need to, I'd need to learn more about the role of the clerk.
Thank God you
Basically,
said yes.
if Richard's not here, you have to take minutes.
And I.
You
work-
wouldn't want what I come up
No,
with.
and I work from Pat to.
And
to-
Okay.
from
And I
that.
have an audio recorder too.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
There's another piece to it though.
Record.
If we are told by the state board that the districts are going to be merged, I think there's a temporary board set up, and the board chair and the clerk are Shaftsbury's reps to that new board.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you might be suddenly, yeah, taking on new responsibilities.
Great.
He said that with a smile.
He did.
All right,
Okay.
I move we appoint Scott, or do you do it? Maybe you have to just appoint the clerk, or do we elect the clerk?
No, I got elected.
Elected, okay.
Yeah,
I'll move Scott be the new clerk then.
I'll second that.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other nominations? All those in favor of Scott being clerk?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Scott.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Jeff.
So yesterday we had our annual fall walk to school day. We had well over 100 kids show up, I believe, plus the buses all stopped at T&M at the end of Church Street. We've done it a number of years now. It's pretty routine, and something we do usually in the fall and again in the spring. Kids have a great time, especially the kindergartners. It's their first time, so just wanted to let you guys know about it. But like I said, it was well over 100 students, probably half the population that was able to walk to school yesterday. It was a beautiful morning. We had a great time. The Fire Prevention Month is this month, and we got a fireman on the board, and he approached me about how we could kind of recognize that month. We've done different things throughout the past, but one thing that haven't done for a couple years is we have to have a fire drill in the month of September, month of October. So we're going to have a mock fire drill / rescue next Monday morning at 9:30. So if the town hears sirens going off and now I'm pulling into the school with the fire trucks, don't be alarmed. It's just a drill we're doing, and what they're going to do is we'll do a fire drill like we've always done. The students will go to the basketball court and report, and we'll do attendance like we always do. The fire department will come in with a couple trucks. The volunteers will put on their suits. They'll get in like it's a real incident, and they'll go in, and we're going to hide a number of students throughout the building, pretend they need to be rescued, and we'll let them know we're missing 3 kids, and they'll come in and they'll come and find the kids and bring them out to the front of the school, and kind of everybody cheers at the end, and it's a good time. A good time. Plus, the kids can see what these guys do, to help keep us safe. Plus, the fire department is donating some chief hats and some coloring books for the younger students as well to help celebrate that. And I want to thank Tony for setting that up for us with the chief and some of the volunteers that are going to come and do that with us Monday morning. Also, we're finishing up our fall benchmarking period, so we've done our MAP and Fast Bridge around ELA and math. We've also done some writing benchmarking. We're finishing up our social emotional piece right now. Once that's all complete, we have a half-day in-service at the end of the month on the 26th, where teachers will compile that data. They'll look at it for their classrooms, identify some goals or some strengths and some challenges they need to work on going forward before our next benchmarking period, which would be in the winter. So we're finishing up that and getting ready for some of those goals to be set. And that's all I have.
For Monday morning, are parents going to be notified beforehand?
I have an email actually I have an email that's going to go out tomorrow afternoon. Yep.
I figured, but...
And I've let central office know as well, so if they get some phone calls asking if there's an incident going on in Shaftsbury, they know that it's just a drill. But yeah, I have an email ready to go out for that, yeah.
Yeah, do you think you may want to let somebody else know? I'm just thinking of the people in town.
I'm not sure I can think about that. I don't think we've done that in the past, but I can talk to Jay and see what because Jay's
It
done.
may,
Yeah.
if you got a couple of people out there that are
Hopefully somebody's
concerned, or maybe somebody out on Cat TV, don't be concerned. Next Monday, don't be concerned.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to get that out to everybody other than
No,
what you just did.
that's right.
Yeah, we did. Like I said, we did it. I think I did it my second or third year.
Uh-huh.
And it's usually
It's got to be good experience for the kids.
it is.
We're gonna try to get all 3 trucks here, I think.
Yeah.
At least 2 of them, but we're gonna try to get 3 of them.
Good. Good. Okay, the next is my report. I don't have that much, except I thank everybody for keeping everything going. We don't have anything from the SVSU because there's nobody here. Next regular meeting is November 15th, which is again on a Thursday. I think it's working out all right.
I just wanna say thanks to the board and everybody involved for being able to switch this while I go to this fire school. That's just unbelievable.
Oh, is that what it is? It's
Yeah.
classes or?
I'm taking
We're happy-
firefighter 1 and firefighter 2.
We're happy to do for it.
They're offering a double class right in Bennington. Starts
Just-
in September and ends in
why?
June.
Point of clarity, is it the third Thursday or the
No,
second Thursday?
It's the second Thursday. It's the Thursday after the second Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursday after the
Oh,
second.
really? You're supposed to
Wed-
have it on the 14th.
That's actually the third Thursday.
Because
but it's
I was thinking it was going to be the Thursday
Wow.
the 8th, the second Thursday.
Because our usual time would be the
The
second
14th.
Wednesday.
Oh, the second Wednesday
So
was
we
better,
just moved it
14th.
up one day
Okay,
from that. So it is going to be the 15th.
Thursday the 15th.
Yes, which is actually the third Thursday. But
As the clerk, you want me to write that down, or?
He's got it.
I've got it. It'll be in the minutes.
Okay, anything else?
I just wanted to comment on the enrollment, which the enrollment numbers that we got in the packet, they seem to be up. And have we maintained that enrollment since the report was printed, Jeff? Because I know things can
Change.
Yes.
vacillate a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did it stay where the report you gave us last time?
219, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Kindergarten.
Kindergarten's
okay.
maintaining.
Yeah.
Kindergarten's maintaining.
Not getting any bigger.
It is not getting any bigger.
Okay.
Kindergarten was pretty big.
Those are some big classes.
Kindergarten, yeah, like I think I said earlier this year, it started off in the spring is much smaller, and then over the summer we gained quite a few. So yeah, but they're doing well. The
Good.
teachers, yep, they're doing well.
Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else got anything else? Then how about a motion?
That's a numbers game.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Out we
Aye.
go.